What's up, 12s? It's Loaf the Tupa with the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NorbCam.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on this Blue Friday with a last-minute show that I really hadn't planned on doing, but because of what's been going on in the news and all the media going crazy about this whole Russell Wilson trade talk and all that stuff, I figured we had to have our own discussion about it. Everyone's talking about it. We should talk about it as well. And so today we're doing a special debate open forum, and I'm going to be bringing on, for the third day in a row, Coach Marsh of the Coach's Corner to talk about this. I'm going to bring him in just a second, but I'm also going to bring you guys into this as well. We floated this idea a little bit yesterday during the Coach's Corner at the end. We had a bunch of people come in. I gave them 1 minute to bring in their thoughts on the issue, and I'm going to do the same with you guys. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start the show, do kind of my opening arguments. Coach Marsh will do his. We'll have a little bit of a debate, and then we're going to open up the floor to, like I said, about a minute of your own closing arguments. I'm going to take it on the phone lines. The phone call, you can call in right here at 515-606-5121 and then enter the code 696153, or you could do it the usual way that we do it on Discord, which you got to get that up right now. Discord. There it is. Discord is on. There we go. There we go. People standing by. All right. So, that is the plan here. So before we jump into it, I'm going to just quickly remind everybody, please, if you wouldn't mind, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. I seem to have plateaued for some reason on subscribers, so I'd love to get a few more going here. So please do me that favor and hit that up and subscribe if you would be so kind. And so I would like to bring on, here he is, Mr. Coach Bill Marsh of Coach's Corner. Well, this is 3 days in a row, man. This is a record, seeing your face on here this many times. Welcome back.
Hey, man. It's awesome. It's awesome to be on here. I think it's just it's fascinating how this thing is just taken off like wildfire, man. I mean, even just when you reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to do this thing? It's like kind of a 911 for football right now in the Northwest. It's just the panicky situation of is it real or is it not real? Are we pinching ourselves? Are we really talking about this? So, man, just excited to just jump into this and just see where it goes.
Yeah,
no preparation. I mean, literally, you pinged me just a while ago. I was in a meeting, and here we are. So it's not like we've had a lot of time. We didn't even talk about it before the show. Separation's
in the preparation, but we hadn't that much preparation. So we'll see how much separation we can actually do here. Mr. Noah, welcome to the NORBFAM membership group. Thank you for joining. I appreciate the support. So the way this is going to work, as I was just mentioning earlier, is I'm going to start out with since I'm the host, I'm going to start out with the opening arguments. I'm going to bring my side of things about answering that question. What should the Seahawks do with Russell Wilson? And I'm going to do a 3-minute pitch. I'm going to have that little timer going on, so it'll alert me when it's done. And I'm going to toss to you, Coach. You'll do your 3-minute spiel. We'll have a few minutes of debate, and then we'll open it up to calls and questions and statements from the public out there to get your thoughts on what the Seahawks should do or what the situation you think is going to have happen. I do have a hard out tonight, as I've got to wrap the show up at 6:20, so we have about 40 minutes to do this, so I want to keep things moving quickly. So again, if you guys want to call in, the number's right down below, and you can also join the Discord, and tons of you are already on there, and we'll try to keep this moving very fast. So I'm going to take the opening remarks right here.
Take a breath, man. I know that you are just like amped about this thing. I'm amped about it too, but I think you're more nervous than amped, and you're not nervous about the show. And I'm looking right in the microphone because I feel like I talked to you through the mic. Worried about what's happening.
I have to relax because I was also frantically making spaghetti dinner right before the show, and I was like literally like noodles, ground beef, this like gotta go. All right,
I used to call the quarterbacks cowboys because I wanted them to be the calmest guys in the ship with 2 minutes to go and everybody's panicking. I wanted them and myself to be the calmest guys around. So, you need to be a cowboy too, man.
Well, you know me. You've watched me enough on these.
I'm not talking to Dallas Cowboys.
Watching these games, you know me. I'm always freaking on the edge of my seat, freaking out, nervous, and all that stuff. So, I'm not the calm in the storm. I'm definitely not the calm in the storm tonight. So, I'm going to start this off again. My 3 minutes. I'm going to use my phone here to time it and get it going. But here we go. We are going to start this right now. What should the Seahawks do with Russell Wilson? My 3 minutes starts now. Right there. All right. In my opinion, the Seahawks need to do whatever they got to do to keep Russell here for the long term. All right, now let me start first by saying this much. I am very pissed off, frustrated at Russell Wilson and his agent and his whole camp for the way they've handled this whole debacle. I was saying from the beginning, I didn't think it was a big deal what he said in the Dan Patrick show. I still don't think that was as big of a deal. But now with the more recent news that's been floated out by the agent, talking about how that the agent said to Ian Rappaport, saying, we haven't told the Seahawks that we want to trade, but if we were going to have to be traded, we would be looking at the Raiders, Bears, Saints, and Cowboys. I mean, what the heck is that all about? What do you do if you're not going to be talking about trades, and why are you floating teams out there? All that is, of course, is just stirring up that much more interest, more controversy, more phone calls to the organization. So I'm not happy about the way they're handling that. Okay, that said, the Seahawks should do whatever they need to do to make that happen. And what is that exactly? Well, that's the big question we don't know. What does Russell Wilson and his camp need to have happen? He's talked about he doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't want to be sacked as many times. He needs better protection. I'm with you on that. Who does want the quarterback to be hit? All right. Number two, he wants to be more involved in personnel decisions. Okay, what does that mean exactly? Well, it's not like he wants to become the GM or something. However, he might want to say, hey, look, I really think we could bring this receiver in, and this guy could maybe make a big impact. I know he wanted to get Antonio Brown in here early in the season. He was throwing passes to him during the summertime, and he did not come. He ended up going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who... what did they do this year? Oh, yeah, they won the Super Bowl. And when at the end of the season, who had more controversy surrounding them? Our own DK Metcalf or Antonio Brown? There was a lot more swirling around DK Metcalf's attitude and how he was complaining about not getting the ball in that final playoff game that we lost than even Antonio Brown was with all the stuff he had going on. So whatever worked there, whether that was because Russell Wilson wanted him or not, that was a different situation. However, that is what he may want input on. I left less than a minute. So does Russell Wilson want input on players, maybe on protection, whatever? I say give it to him. Look, here's the thing. Russell Wilson is a once-in-a-generation quarterback, all right? We have had him for 9 seasons. The guy's never missed a game. We've been to the playoffs every single year but one, and that one was really the fault of our kicker more than anything else. This is a guy that is a franchise quarterback, and franchise quarterbacks do not grow on trees, ladies and gentlemen. We need to do whatever it takes to keep him. He will be here longer than Pete Carroll will be. Pete Carroll is almost 70 years old. He's going to be done with his time here before Seattle is 15 seconds. And so... before Russell Wilson, what was our record? 7-9, 7-9. After Russell Wilson, winning record, never had a losing record after Russell Wilson joined the team. I don't think it's coincidence. I don't think it's the LOB. It's Russell Wilson. It didn't matter what defense we had. Russell Wilson has been the one continuous factor in this. We make the playoffs and are a winning team every time that Russell Wilson has been with the Seahawks. And so that is my argument. I don't think I got everything I wanted to say in there, but those are my points. We got to do whatever it takes to keep Russell Wilson long-term in Seattle. Coach, there you go.
Man, that was solid. Now catch your breath, because I agree. We have to do whatever it takes.
Are you starting your 3 minutes now?
Yeah, I didn't know if you want me to get.
Okay, if you do, I got to start the clock. I'm going to start the clock.
I will
do
need
this
the
right.
full 3 minutes.
All right, Coach Marsh.
I'm going to be efficient.
Your opening remarks starts now.
All right, so we absolutely need to do whatever it takes to make sure that this franchise stays in the top 3 in the league, not as an individual base, but the franchise. And we've already done some things. When Russ was asking or needing certain things, we went and got a new OC. It doesn't matter if he was upset about what took place with the previous one. We went and got an OC that fits his mold. And then he goes and has these voices of influence that are called his team or what have you, that start leaking some things out. Here's the problem what happens when you start to do that. The other side also has people that can leak things. Things like when you storm out of a week 9 meeting. Things like when you get into guys' faces that you usually don't get into their faces. Things like that you throw the guys under the bus like the offensive line more than just out in the public sector. So all these things that he's done over the course of time that have made him the beloved Russ that we absolutely love and adore and want him to have around, now the Seattle Seahawks seem to be leaking some things out. Some position coaches, some players, other people are starting to leak some things out because he has upset folks. He's upset folks from that side. So now what you're doing is you're fractionalizing a locker room and you're fractionalizing relationships when it didn't have to be. It didn't have to come to this situation. If you're going to have a situation where you have to go and deal with your spouse or a boss or what have you, you have to communicate through talking face to face. You cannot do it through the media. You can't do it through your team. You go and you talk directly to the person. Now, this is on both sides. From my understanding, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson haven't communicated directly with each other for a couple of weeks. But you don't then go air the dirty laundry because you think that'll placate you to a certain stamina for a year down the road or for right now and put you in a position where you can be traded and asked to be traded when the other side is just going to do the same thing. And now the Seahawks are starting to gain the leverage. They are gaining the leverage. And just like I said, it's not going to be about 3 draft picks. Franchise quarterbacks aren't what they used to be. Franchise quarterbacks used to be the massive separation between the top 5 and who was the rest of the league. Now you can go to the top 15 quarterbacks and find guys that are decent enough if you have a solid defense and a solid running game, which is what we are going to have. Pete Carroll's not leaving this next year. Shane Waldron's not leaving this next year. They're here. So Russell needs to either fit the program and fit the scheme. And yes, have some say, have some comments, do those things, but go do it directly. Because what he's going to do is he's going to tarnish his own legacy with the people who love him, the people who want him around, and the people who've been surrounded with him and watched him from the get-go. So as the final piece of, as we go forward, keep in mind that we were the ones who helped you become who you became. And by we, I'm talking about the 12s. The last thing you want to do is become the quarterback that this city hates, the quarterback that comes into this town and we aren't talking about you like you're the beloved son of us. If you're going to leave, put it from a standpoint that we support you, we want you to be successful, and we know you'll come back and sign that one-day contract.
All right. Well done, Coach. Well, so now at this point, we made your points or our opening arguments. Now we're going to spend the next several minutes here. I'm going to say we'll make it 5 minutes of crosstalk debate or so. We'll play it loosely to argue those points, and we can just kind of go back and forth on this point. So
I feel like I'm staring down at you, like I'm looking right at the back of your head. So just keep on talking, Norb.
Do your thing. Right there? No, I went that way.
I'm looking right at you. Oh, there we go. Oh, listen. Yeah, it's hard to figure out that mirror image.
Okay. So, Coach, I agree with you. Like I said, I'm not happy with Russell Wilson and his agent, the way that they're doing this. And it seems like it was just 2 years ago that we just went through this whole thing with Russell Wilson. Sierra wanted to go to New York. Remember that, guys? It was just only 2 years ago when we were dealing with that time and that whole thing, and Russell Wilson going on the Tonight Show and talking about him asking the host asking a question. So, you think you'll be the highest paid quarterback? That's not a question that, what's his name? Who's the host of the Tonight Show?
Was it not Kimmel, but
yeah, the other
Fallon,
one,
Jimmy Fallon.
That's not a Jimmy Fallon question. That's definitely a question that was planted to get him to start having that conversation about Russell Wilson being the highest paid quarterback. So we've seen it done before, and obviously the objective was succeeded. He became the highest paid quarterback. I agree with you. I don't like the way it's being handled, but that aside, and as much as I hate the way that's being handled now, we will forget about all this come football season if everything gets worked out. We forgot all about the Sierra New York stuff. That all went away as soon as the contract was signed, as soon as the deal was done. I'm confident that the two sides will come together because I still think it's in both sides' best interests to come together and work things out. That's with the assumption that Russell Wilson hasn't already made up his mind that he doesn't want to be here. Now, God willing, he's still open to that, and he hasn't already made up his mind that he wants to leave. That part none of us know. But if he really is still just trying to gain leverage in terms of his position with the team and have more influence, have more say in certain things, well, doggone it, if that will help him win and help us win in the process, well, I'm for it because it's all about winning. And if Russell Wilson wins, the team wins. We don't want to say Russell Wilson's on his back. This is a tough talk. Go ahead, man.
All right, man. So if you're going to say it's all about winning, if it's all about winning, then it can't just be about Russ and him complaining and now we have to placate to all his wishes. What's wrong with the head coach? Get the head coach dictate what's best for us winning. And if what's best for us is winning, we have to be okay with Russ leaving. Now keep in mind, I'm the one who has this background. I'm the one who's wearing the sweatshirt. I'm the one who can pull up, different things where there's my wife with Russ around her, your shoulder. Like, I love the guy. We love the guy in this household. My kids go to his camp. I mean, there's all sorts of great things that happen. However, the situation is, if he's going to start doing this type of stuff, it's going to fractionalize our locker room. And you know where we're going to be next year? We're going to be half of the other teams in the NFL that never make it because somebody's running amok. And I'm not going to say he's ever going to be a cancer in the locker room. because I don't like that type of analogy. But he's already just caused so much discord in that locker room. Those linemen, I know for a fact that there are linemen that don't even want to see him right now. Like, is that like what's going on? This goes back to what Squabo was saying early on. We were kind of laughing in mid-season when he was saying there was something. He was concerned about Russ being depressed and everything else. I'm not going to say he's depressed, but man, to just have these weird things going, and of course they're calculated. Russ knows everything that's going out there because he's so image conscious, which I said before, and I got blasted 2 weeks ago in the comments and everything else. But here we are 2 weeks later, and it's the top story on everything. And I just don't like the fact that he is trying to kind of take control like a Tom Brady and like others. He needs to gradually get to that spot or just go quietly and do it, not just go from 0 to 50 like that. And that's what I think is what fans.
I'm glad you brought that comparison up, because if you look at Tom Brady, and granted, I know he has many accolades, doesn't have many Super Bowls, but Tom Brady in that situation with the Buccaneers, clearly he had a lot of say, and he was brought in as the man with the team surrounding him. Obviously, he handpicked the organization that he felt like, okay, I can go in here and I can win right now, because he knew he had the offensive weapons, he knew he had the defense, he had the offensive line, and he had the pull to be able to say, I can bring some other guys in here. I can bring a Gronkowski out of retirement. I can get an Antonio Brown, and I can make sure he stays and behaves the way he needs to. And that's what he did. And that's because they did give him that ability to have influence. And that didn't destroy the locker room there. That obviously won them a Super Bowl. Now,
but Tom Brady's personality isn't Russell's. So keep going. But they're two different personalities. Tom Brady can put the squash on somebody. Russell Wilson couldn't squash Adams, or if Marshawn Lynch was here. Like, he doesn't have that.
Well, maybe because maybe he wasn't allowed to. You know, maybe there is a certain degree where he was made to follow the rules by the organization. He wasn't given that control because he was trying to do what the team told him to do. Maybe he was being the foot soldier to just say, Russell, just don't change the plays. Just do what we tell you to do. If we tell you to throw a pass at the 1 yard line, we're just follow the rules. Don't check out of it. You know, who knows exactly what went on in there? But the reality is I don't think Russell has been pushing to do more of what he feels like maybe he needs to have more control and more power of. And maybe it's time that he does. Maybe this was the year that came out with, obviously there's the story now in The Athletic saying that Russell Wilson was stormed out of a meeting because he was frustrated about the situation mid-season that was going on, because the coaching staff and what he had in mind were two totally different things. And maybe that was it. Maybe this is a brewing of him just following orders and finally saying, look, it's not working. We need to change what's going on. And maybe he felt like this was the only way to get their attention. Again, I don't agree with it, but we don't know what took to get to this point. But my still feeling is, I don't like the process. It could be better. Yeah, he's going to have some things fences to mend. But I still, at the end of the day, if there's a way to get it to where he's not going to leave, if we can allow certain things to happen that will benefit Russell Wilson's motivation to stay here, I'm for it.
But then we're setting the precedent, right? Again, I get that there's the argument that obviously that he's been around, he got us out of the dark time, so he has earned some points there. I totally agree with that. He's earned points to have some conversations, have some input. I think where we're both agreeing is the route that he's going to doing that, right? Having his agent do this, do those other things. But now what's happening is this other issue is coming about where he's alienating players. People inside the organization are starting to leak stuff against their own personnel, their oown employee, basically saying, hey, look, if he's going to start saying stuff about us, let us leak something out about him storming out of a meeting after he'd had two just awful games in three games. We had to make some changes and just settle some things down. And then he goes and gets upset and storms out. Well, now that's saying a whole lot about how the season started to play out, because now the offense had to adjust things. So it's not just Russell had to adjust to Metcalf in the one game. We obviously had to placate to Russ, stuff that we didn't realize. And I just don't know that's, he's definitely changed from who he was. I think Russ is who he was, Tom Brady is who he's been for most of his career. Russ has really significantly changed in the last few years. And I think everybody would agree with that. That he's demanded some things. He demanded the no trade clause, and now he's got that list out there. He's kind of asked for these other things, and now he's demanding another thing. when that wasn't the guy earlier that we all really fell in love with, and he was a part of like all of us and how we want a leader to be. And and like you said last night, like I wish we had seen earlier some of this kind of this brashness and this wildness and that wild card side that you see in the final 2 minutes of a game where he's just like he's the Russ that I love. That last 2 minutes where he's getting after it. It's the other part, the cliche stuff. I love the Go Hawks at the end and all those other things. But it's like, dude, like just show us the genuine rough side or what have you, not the two-sided piece. And again, I'm just talking from a football standpoint, not from him as a person, so to speak. Just frustrating. Want to see him take on as a leader.
Well, okay, and that is our time right there. And so, and all I would say to that is people should be and are expected to evolve. Russell Wilson is not the same guy who he was when he came in 2012. There's the 75th draft choice in the third round, who nobody gave any chance to. And obviously, as he's grown to prove that he is the guy, and like I said, the record speaks for himself. Durability, the winning percentage, the Super Bowl should have been 2. That is simply cannot be argued against what he's done.
And what was our record this year? And we're the second winningest team in the NFL over the last 10 years. And 90% of that, right, we'd say is to Russ. We'd say so much of that is for Russ. But has he really, truly evolved as a quarterback in those games that we need him to be there? Like, that's what I'm saying. That are there?
I'm not saying he's perfect.
If we have to bring another guy in, my argument is I think we can. If it's getting to the spot, I have no problem. If they announced that there was a trade tomorrow, I'd be like, okay, we got to make it work now, because I'm sure we've traded for another franchise type quarterback to come in and help us with the type of offense we're doing. That now is not going to bring the animosity that it's going to take a while to fix. And no, it doesn't get fixed right away in a locker room.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think that franchise quarterback is out there. No matter what, I feel like if we trade him, we are going to see a drop, and we will drop that back down to that pre-Russell Wilson era.
Why are we going to see a drop if it gives us a chance to gain both short and long term in other areas? If we give up Russ and we gain a quarterback plus something else, and there's too many scenarios to go through the rumor mill of what could be and what couldn't be, but we're going to gain more personnel wise that may help us in the long run on a team that is already a winning and successful team.
Well, because I already know what we have in Russell Wilson. I don't think there's another. Deshaun Watson maybe arguably could be, you could say you can almost swap them out and maybe get the same level. I don't feel that way of any quarterback that's available right now in a trade. And we've seen what Seattle's done with draft picks. Okay, their draft pick success has not been great. So to me, it's like, okay, you get all these great draft picks. Yeah, there'll be higher rounds and everything like that, first round picks. But does that guarantee we're going to get a guaranteed performance? We all know that that's a hit and a miss, and we've had guys completely, completely fail even at the highest picks that we've had. And so I'm not convinced that you trade the sure thing that you've got that's been working for you for 9 years, you're going to get something else that's going to be able to replace that. Anyway, would you agree that it's, but we just did that with our coordinator, right? So we just did that with our coordinator that everybody wanted to get rid of. Now, he wasn't here for 9 years, but that's a massive change. But putting that aside, would you agree that it's not how you start, it's how you finish? Like that cliche line. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Yeah.
So that said, if you know what we're getting out of Russ, what have we got out of Russ the last 3 years, second half of the season, and you can't argue what he did the first half of those 3 years? What have we received out of Russ the last 3 years? And my argument is not get rid of Russ. I'm just saying what we have and what people aspire to, is it that homerism of we love Russ because of what he's been and what he means to the franchise. I get all of that, and I feel the same way up to a point. But if it's about winning right now next year and the potential for discord and issues and all those other things, and now we don't throw enough, and in week 3 he's pulling a DK Metcalf and getting upset? Or, like, does he have to throw for 5,000 yards to be happy?
But see, if he's got more influence and authority during the offseason, he can't complain about it because he is part of the setup that sets up what's happening with the offense. So he can't be complaining, I'm not getting my say, because he is already part of the process. I think that was a problem, is he wasn't part of the process enough. And I believe that the end of this season, I blame more scheme than I blame Russell Wilson in terms of the failure to move on in the playoffs. We did a lot of coaches' corners, and I'm not saying Russell Wilson's perfect, but one, we should have, this is counter to that, it's not that it's Russell Wilson should have thrown the ball more. on the record many times saying we should have ran that ball more times. Chris Carson had a better run yards per carry average than the leading rusher for Cam Akers for the Rams, and yet he didn't get the ball enough. There were so many things wrong with the way we approached that game that was clearly not working, and I don't blame, to me, that's not Russell Wilson's shoulders that it falls on as the failure to do so. So
this is one of the rare times that I'm watching the Super Chat, and I think it's funny, like everybody wants to drill Pete Carroll, right? He's also the guy that got us to the record that we made it to. He's also the guy that's helped us. We never switched coaches in the last.
He was 7-9 the first 2 years, though.
Yeah,
without Russell Wilson.
And then all of a sudden, we also had Legion of Boom started to develop. I mean, he built us from what we were when he came in.
We had elements of the Legion of Boom, though, in 2010 and 2011.
Yeah, but when he came in, we had to build up to get to the spot where now we have been a dominant team all across the board. So people that say, hey, let's get rid of Pete Carroll, you know what's going to happen? Do you think Russell Wilson's going to like the next guy that comes in? If we get rid of Pete, again, talk about be careful what you wish for. Who's going to come in and, all of a sudden it's some drill sergeant guy or somebody who's not in the loosey-goosey mode of making players happy. Do you know how many players we've had come here that there's no way they would have come here if it wasn't for Pete Carroll, and they definitely wouldn't have maintained being here if it wasn't for Pete Carroll?
I'm not saying get rid of Pete Carroll. Who's saying get rid of Pete Carroll? I don't think it has to be it's Russ or Pete Carroll. I'm saying these guys come together and we give a little bit of what Russ wants, but not saying get rid of Pete Carroll. I don't think we have to get rid of Pete Carroll.
My point is Russell Wilson has now played the kid in the family syndrome piece, to where before there was an amicable component where they could talk to each other. They could get on each other's cases or what have you, just like Brady and Belichick did, just like Arians and Brady did. I mean, Arians and Brady were in each other's grills at the beginning of the year until Arians released and said, okay, Brady, I'm going to let you do your thing, which I know is what people want people to see with Russell Wilson. But you have to have certain styles and be able to do that. And so for Russ to now come and have his team saying stuff, it's like one of my kids having, it's like my son doing something and then having his sisters come and tell me what the issue is. Hey, Luke's doing this, Luke's doing that, and he's upset at that. Well, then have Luke come talk to me. I'm going to talk directly to Luke. So they both are at fault there. But then if all of a sudden one of them stops doing things and complains and we're going to do that, and they want more say in the family and all, well, then we need to talk about it privately. But you're not going to go out and do it on the public sector and do those things. So now you got all these issues that are taking place that just didn't have to happen. And I don't think Russ realized that it's going to be very difficult to have linemen. And so he caused the issue of the two components. He demanded the money, which again, I don't fault him for getting as much money as he can, but that money gets taken. So now we can't use it on offensive linemen and build a great defense and get a running game. So we lose a little bit. We lose a little bit of the O-line because Russ is able to scramble and move around. But because he's held the ball longer than he should, he gets way more sacks than we should get. And then he comes out and blames offensive linemen. And his team blames offensive linemen. When you can equate close to 70% of those sacks on Russ. The way he plays is what we love because it does win us some games and gets us big plays. But I haven't seen him adjust when we've needed it to, and he gets sacks in situations where we shouldn't have sacks, and we broke that down in some coaches' corners.
Well, and that's part of what Russell needs to do. He has to take some accountability for this. As much as I'm saying he should get a lot of what he is hoping to get, he also needs to be part of the process to understand that he's got to look at himself and know what he can't do. And you just talked about how Russell Wilson's calculated. He's not a fool. He doesn't know what he doesn't see. Clearly, he's got to be aware of what he is not doing also. And that part of it also has to improve as well. So it's got to be
that's my
both
final
sides.
piece. The final piece I will say is exactly that. If I'm in this situation as either as Russell Wilson or as someone who's advising him as a voice of influence, the voices of influence around him, the fact that he has not come out and said, hey, look, this thing has really gone too far. Hey, look, I know I've said something about the O-line, but definitely I have to take some responsibility. Not going to take all of it. And I'm not going to throw all my linemen under the bus constantly because it's a team game. Like Russell's always been that consummate team guy. But man, it feels like since the day of the Super Bowl, since the moment the Super Bowl ended, it has been me, my, I over we, us, are. And you know how I feel about that. It's always we, us, are over me, my, I. And as soon as a player becomes me, my, I get that that's part of the generation that we are all in. It's not just, I'm not going to say it's millennials or kids. Everybody, that's society is in that situation. But he's been the consummate we, us, our guy. And I think that's what's so baffling is I wish you would just come out and just he could diffuse this in a heartbeat, still be upset, and then just go talk to management.
And I agree. I'm not happy with the way he's handling it. That's the first thing I said, is I don't like the way that it's being handled. That being said, though, I still believe what I stand for. All right, I want to read some super chats real quick and then go to the quick 1 minute firing off from all the people who are on the line. So Lena Dahl, first of all, our moderator, says, NorbCam, I wasn't happy either. Where's the rust and his being humble from years ago? This shouldn't have come out in the press. Yes, that's exactly what Coach Marsh was saying. And then Dukes of Hazzard says, LeBron and Cavs effect? Comparisons definitely can be made there. Chef Jack Attack says, are we still doing calls? I have an opinion. Yes, you can jump on the Discord and the phone line if you'd like to get your opinion. We're going to do a 1 minute shout out for everybody. So I mean, y'all get a thought in there. Chef Jack Attack says, I got a big opinion. And is that everybody? I just want to make sure I didn't miss the super chat. Chef Jack Attack, I got a big problem, he says. And Jason E., don't forget Brady took a pay cut, not 15%. So, and that's another point. I think if Russell's involved with some of these decision making, maybe he'll realize, oh, if I want to get this lineman and this guy and this receiver, we're going to have some salary cap room. I better make some adjustments myself.
If he wants linemen, then he's going to have to do that, right? And so two things I have to address in the super chat, and I love it.
Okay, make it quick because I got to make sure we get enough time for the calls.
People can ping me all they want. It doesn't bother me. We can't say get him an O-line. We have to look at specificity. Like get him a left guard, get him a right tackle, get him a center. We can't just say that's never going to happen. Get an O-line. The other piece is I think it's awesome when people come on. What do you know, Marsh? What's your credibility? My credibility is my last 2 years. I took over a program that had never played football. Okay, so let's pull those aside. And even with one of those 2 years, we went to the playoffs before I got extremely sick. Prior to that, I had 82% winning percentage. So I do know a little bit about the game in my 25 plus years of coaching. And I know a little bit about the fact that my former high school football coach was the running backs coach for the Seattle Seahawks and an NFL coach for 22 years, who I talk with all the time. So there is, just from a credibility standpoint of who am I, from a fun standpoint, I'm not Joe Schmo off the street talking here, and Norb is a big-time insider as well and has great connections and everything else. So we're not two dudes that are just kind of blowing smoke at her. We're coming to this show with, I think, some credible stuff.
But, of course, in the end, we are all like everybody else out there. All the same NFL analysts are all guessing as to what's happening. The only people who know what's really happening, John Schneider, Pete Carroll know what they're thinking, and Russell Wilson knows what he's thinking, and probably Sierra, too. That's it. So we're all giving our 2 cents worth.
Joke, for all we know.
All right. It's interesting, though. The chat is heated. But let's get to some calls here. I'm going to give you, and this is how it's going to work. I'm going to pull you guys up. Be ready with your question because you have 1 minute to make your say. And if we do this right, I can get to everybody before I have to go at 6:20, which is in 12 minutes. All right, let's do it. We're going to start here with 12th Fan Maya. 12th Fan Maya, your minute starts now.
Hey, guys. So, listen, I was a communications major in college, and my jaw is on the ground over this entire situation. So I guess my question is, how much of this do you think is a real big marketing scheme to get what he wants versus him actually being mad? Because I agree with everything you guys are saying. There is an accountability issue here. There is a communications breakdown. And I really don't think this is Russ. Like, he is on a beach somewhere with his family, not giving a hey to what's going on. And so it's not an overnight solution. Like, getting rid of Pete's not going to fix it, and getting rid of him's not going to fix it. But it's got a cat problem. And there's a huge communications breakdown, and it's making me crazy. So I don't know. What is he trying to get out of this?
Well, so I guess you kind of answered with a question there. Thank you.
I'll give you 15 seconds because I'm also a communications guy. Graduated with communications major, not the education major that a lot of people get with. So I totally hear what you're saying. That I think that there is some part of this that Russ could be gone somewhere, and this is just. I think it's a setup for next year. I don't think anything's happening now. I think the communications piece, if you're really studying it, is laying the groundwork for a move that's going to take place next year so that Russ can see the landscape of the new OC. What do we do in the offseason? Can we win a playoff game, get to the Super Bowl? Then he can drop out of here saying, look, I said last year I wanted to be a part of this, and you didn't do anything for me.
So, Coach March, you're going to stand by your statement on the record that you still believe Russell Wilson in 1 year is going to be gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he's not, I'll be excited. And if he is, I'm correct. So it's a win-win for me either way. Yeah, but I absolutely think he's gone based on what's going on. I think it's going to be a lose. It's going to be a lose for all of us 12s if he's gone. And I think it's going to happen next year based on what's happening right now.
Chef Jack Attack, you're on. Your minute starts now.
All right, I'm going to make this nice and quick because I only have a minute. It's not really a question; it's more of an opinion. Coach, I kind of have to disagree with you on the whole Russell Wilson thing. Like, not trying to be mean. I think we have different opinions on it, and I disagree. I'm with Norb on this one, and it comes to the Tom Brady thing. I mean, Tom Brady, he gets. He goes to a new team and he, goes out and tells them what he wants on his team. And, he gets those players. And Russell Wilson is like, well, why can't I just have a little bit of that? Why can't I just have a little bit of a say in things? And the Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks are so demanding. They don't treat Russell Wilson good, guys. I mean, I know he's getting paid millions of dollars, but like as a player and a team, he doesn't get treated well. I mean, he has no say in anything. A quarterback should have a say in things. He does not. He does.
All right, Chef Jack Attack. Sorry, your time is up, man. Appreciate you jumping on here, giving your thoughts, man. Appreciate it. Coach, we're gonna.
What are your thoughts on that, Norb?
Well,
Norb, yeah, I was gonna say.
I know, and I don't want to respond too much on each one, or else we'll run out of time for other people to get their thoughts in there. But he agrees with me, so who am I to argue with Chef Jack Attacks? A very outstanding opinion. Let's keep it going, Coach. I know you got thoughts, but maybe at the end we can do a wrap up and get through everybody. So let me get to Devin Peterson. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hey, Norb. Hey, I believe that Russ is going to stay with us. He loves us, and we love him. He's going to stay with us for the rest of his life, the rest of his football life. And if we don't cater to him, or if we don't listen to him, he's going to be out of here and he's going to go to Vegas. But I don't think that's going to happen. Because one, Derek Carr is there, I'm the second fan of the Raiders. He's our quarterback, and I don't see Russ going to open. And second, Russ is going to be with us for the rest of his life.
All right. Well, that is a very loyal Homer standpoint. Which I appreciate that, man. I will only say, as sort of an argument to my own point, is that I don't think any New England Patriot fan ever thought that Tom Brady was going to go somewhere else. So knowing that anybody can go, I'm not ruling out the possibility. I just don't think it's going to happen, but certainly it can. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's go to Devin, our buddy Devin, who's always here on the show. Your 60 seconds starts now.
All right. So with the whole restructure thing, so Tom Brady, through his whole years with the Patriots, has restructured his contract and given up at least $60 million in his career, maybe as much as $100 million. So he's restructured his contract so they can bring in the pieces for him to succeed, right? And now you're like, oh, Tom Brady, with the Bucks, he's getting paid $25 million a year. I get that's a lot, but it's enough for them to bring parts in, along with Mike Evans also restructuring his contract, right? So Russell Wilson, I think if he can restructure just a little bit, we can get the Joe Thuney's. Maybe we can even get what's his face? The Joe Thuney's, the Corey Linsley, something like that, right? Like just one piece of an offensive lineman. And so,
wrap it up.
Yeah. So I think Russ just needs to restructure, and then he'll get what he wants, just like Tom Brady. Tom Brady has given a lot during his time with the Patriots, and because he's not being paid that much with the Bucks, he's allowed to do that still.
All right, Devin, thank you, man. I appreciate it. That is a topic of conversation. Is one, Russell getting what he wants, but secondly, would he take a pay cut, or is he always going to go for the big bucks? And we kind of know what happens. The two top paid quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, top paid quarterbacks, only have one ring apiece. Something to consider. Let's go to Dylan Tate. Your 60 seconds on the thoughts on this issue. Start now.
For me, I think Russ needs to take accountability, and he needs to start thinking about going to Pete Carroll privately and not having it publicly come out. Then, we need to improve the O-line and go out on free agency and get a couple O-linemen.
Okay. Kind of too late, though, for that private talk. It's a little bit out there already, though, don't you think? I mean, they should still talk privately, but the cat's got a little bit out of the bag. Hopefully they can do damage control. But
even though he's getting on my nerves right now, I still love him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like my kids annoy me sometimes, but I still love them too. So, all right, let's keep it going. Nick LeBeau, your 60 seconds starts now.
All right, so I don't think this has anything to do with communications misunderstanding. I think this is all intentional. Russell Wilson knows that Seattle's window for a Super Bowl victory is almost closed, and he is trying to get Pete Carroll and the Seahawks accountable and use leverage against them to get them to go all in this year so that he can finally win this his Super Bowl. Another thing I want to bring up is you guys keep, and a lot of people in general keep comparing this to Tom Brady, but this is really a whole different thing from Tom Brady. Tom Brady spent nearly 20 years with the Patriots and Bill Belichick and won 6 Super Bowls. Russell Wilson's only been here for 9 and been to 2. So, yeah, that's basically my opinion. I think Russ is just trying to get the Seahawks to go all in because he believes in his mind that the window is basically closed for a Super Bowl win.
All right. Well-timed, well-thought-out argument. Yes, you're right. It's going to be apples to apple or oranges to compare the two. But
yep.
All right. I got a couple more left. I got a couple more minutes left. So we're going to go to Rain over on the East Coast. Rain, your 60 seconds starts now.
Yeah, I honestly think we should keep Russ. I mean, no doubt about it. Like you said, Norb, we should do anything in our power to keep him because you cannot just find a franchise quarterback out in the draft, or I mean you can, but out in free agency. So I think we should try every way in our power to keep Russ. He needs to either lower his cap, or he needs to we need to find a way to just keep him. And if we don't, he could be out of here in the next 2 years or today or tomorrow. So I just think we need to find every way to keep him.
All right. Thanks for your thoughts. Let's keep this rolling. This is the Aidan Davis. Your 60 seconds starts now. Aidan Davis, you there?
I'm here.
All right, go for it.
All right, so I wanted to say that I think that I've never been one of the people that are saying fire Pete Carroll or trade Pete Carroll because honestly, I think that's been pretty stupid. But I think now that we really have to think about it, who are we going to pick over the long term? Are we going to pick Russell Wilson or are we going to pick Pete Carroll? I think that we honestly have to pick Russell Wilson. If Russell wants Pete Carroll out and he wants a new quarterback that will let him throw the ball, I think we have to do that. Does that mean our defense suffers? Yes, but look at the Packers. Aaron Rodgers made it to the NFC Championship game. And the second year, the 2 years in a row whenever he had a new new coach.
All right. Point well taken. Let's now go to the phone. It is. Let's go to the phone lines. Hopefully this will work. Let's go to Gerard De La Rosa from the 813. Hopefully this works. Gerard De La Rosa, is that you? Nope, not there. Gerard. Hello. All right, not answering. Let's try this again. Gerard De La Rosa. Are you there? Apparently we're not. All right, sorry about that. Let's go to, well, actually, I think we got through everybody. So, Coach, this is a perfect chance. Thank you, everybody, for calling in. I do have to wrap up the show now. So, Coach, I will give you the final 60 seconds to wrap up your closing arguments.
Well, the thing is, we finally are in a position now where we have something to talk about in the off season that is a fire thing. We wanted Russ to be on fire. We wanted him to cook. The problem is we wanted him to cook in season, and now he's kind of messing up things in the kitchen, trying to boil things and do some other stuff it's just frustrating. So I just hope that they can get things settled. They can communicate. They can get this ship righted so we can focus on the fun aspects of what we need to do. I just don't see him adjusting his contract. It just doesn't seem like it's his temperament. He's the second highest paid guy. Brady's the 16th, 14th, 15th, 16th highest paid guy. Final piece for you, Norb, is this, and I think it's probably for everybody out there. I think this will be your next parody. It's the old Boys to Men End of the Road song. So let's not get to this spot where we're worried about Russ singing this to us or us singing it to him. But I'm concerned that we are aiming for this real soon.
I hope you're wrong. I've been taking a lot of suggestions and thinking about a lot of songs that fit this appropriate moment right now. I'm hoping to sing is "Please Don't Go Russ" is what I'm actually hoping to sing right now, and not one of those "How do I say goodbye." I don't want to be singing that one. So
I'd harmonize with you, but then we'd probably lose a lot of followers.
All right, so I got to wrap this up because it's time for me to go. So I'm just going to say this final thing. I already made my other points, but the bottom line is we are at this point now where as a team, as the 12s community, we're going to look back at this period and we're either going to go, whew, we dodged a bullet there. I'm glad we worked this out. Or we're going to look back and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe we actually couldn't find a way to keep Russell Wilson here. And I think if that happens, it will be one of the darkest days in sports history for the city of Seattle. I think arguably with all the great players we've had in here over the years, it's kind of hard to find one bigger in terms of at least long-term impact when you look back. I know we've had favorites like Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, those guys, but I think Russell Wilson right now, clearly the face of the franchise. We've got to save our face of the franchise here because I feel like if we lose him, the team is going to suffer. We're going to enter into another dark time, and we'll all be looking back and, man, how did we not do everything possible to keep this guy in town? And so that is my feeling. I want to avoid that regret, avoid that feeling that we didn't do enough and couldn't prevent the divorce. I don't want to see us having a divorce. Let's go to marriage counseling, get things worked out. You know, if we hit bumps in the roads just like any relationship does, and that's the bump in the road that we're at right now. So we got to get it fixed. And my bottom line here is, to me, the only true measure of whether the Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll era was successful is we need, at the end of the day, Russell Wilson, the Seahawks, we need to have 3 Super Bowl championships. To me, if we didn't reach 3 by the time Russell Wilson leaves, we didn't reach the potential that he should have had here in Seattle. So Dukes of Hazzard, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Russ or bust. That's exactly my point. So with that, I've got to say goodbye. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for everybody who called in. Coach Marsh, thanks for coming in at the last second
totally
like
fun.
this.
Love doing it with you, man.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody, you don't have to leave, though. You can just keep watching. We got other videos to go to right over here. Other exciting stuff.
Hang out right over here.
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
go where
this
the flame
one.
is.
Yeah, no, this one right here. This one's pretty good. All right, you guys have a great weekend. Happy Blue Friday. Have a great weekend. More to come. Go Hawks. Go Hawks.